with the hacksaw is that you saw in one direction only when the saw is pushed forward. On the backstroke, ease off on the saw. This way you won't dull the blade so fast. Try to use the entire length of the hacksaw blade on every stroke except when you're getting the saw started. Keep the blade moving in a straight line to avoid any twisting or bending that might break the blade. This is a level. You use it to level up a piece of equipment. Notice the bubble in the small glass tube. When the equipment is level, the bubble will be centered between the marks. You can always use a level to plumb up equipment. That is, to make sure it's absolutely vertical. When the equipment is plumb, then again the bubble is centered between the marks. Just to show you what the bubble might look like if a piece of equipment is not level or plumb, note the position of the bubble here. Looks like we'll have to raise the left side of the equipment to get it level. By the way, notice that we said the bubble is in glass. So that means you've got to be a little careful. Take it easy with your level so you don't break the glass. So far we've talked about tools that you use just your own muscle power to operate. As you know, there are a lot of tools which operate on electricity or compressed air. Some of these tools you need to know about are the grinder, electric drill, drill press, and the air-operated impact wrenches and grinding wheels. Let's begin with the electrically operated tools. In general, there's a few safety rules you need to know which concern all electric tools. The most important thing to remember is that all electric tools should be grounded. To tell you what we mean by grounded, consider this. There are three things which make up an electric shock. First, there's electric current. Second, there's got to be a ground or a connection to ground. Electricity always wants to run to ground. Third, there's you. If you're standing between the electric current and the ground, you're part of the circuit. The current will then run through you to the ground. In other words, you get shocked. To avoid a shock, a third wire is used to carry any shorted current to ground before it reaches you. That's why electric tools have three prongs on the plug. Two prongs carry the current, and the third is a safety ground wire to protect you. Even with a three-prong ground, you can still get shocked if you do something foolish, like bypass the ground wire, or stand with your feet in a puddle of water. There's no danger as long as you make sure the tool is grounded, that you're not a better ground than the ground wire, don't stand in any puddles of water, and don't grab hold of or cut into an outside source of electric current. You're all familiar with the electric drill. You pull the trigger and drill away. But let's look at a few tips that may make your job even easier. First, make sure that the size hole you want to drill is within the capacity of the tool. For example, a half-inch drill is made to drill holes up to and including a half an inch and no larger. Mark the location of the hole carefully and start it with a center punch, as we mentioned earlier. Then, with the motor running, put the drill into the punch mark and start drilling. Take care to hold the drill at right angles so the hole will be straight. Exert light pressure and continue drilling until you finish the hole. Use a side handle on large drills. With small pieces, it's a good idea to clamp them in a vise. That way the piece is held stationary and you won't cut yourself on a twirling piece of metal. Here's a drill press. What you have here is a table on which you put the piece you want to drill. The table adjusts up and down. Above the table is a chuck which holds the bit. You feed the bit down to the table by moving a lever with one hand. Your other hand holds the work. On small work, you may have to hold it with a wrench or a clamp to keep it stationary. You can vary the rotating speed of the drill press by changing the drive belt from one part of the pulley to another. You'd use slower speeds for drilling metal. Another electric tool that we use is a bench grinder. It's used to sharpen and dress chisels and screwdrivers, for instance. The grinding wheels come in various grits from smooth to rough. Often, one wheel on the grinder will be smooth while the other is rough. Or sometimes one side of the grinder will have a wheel and the other a wire brush. The work rest on the grinder should be no more than 1/8 inch from the wheel. Another thing for sure, whenever you're using a grinder or brush, always wear goggles. The goggles will protect your eyes from any flying chips of metal. Now, let's talk about air-operated tools that are common offshore. First, notice that the fellow here is chipping paint off a piece of equipment with a hammer. He is working safely, but he's working harder than this fellow. Why? Because this man is using an air-operated hand grinder with a wire brush. And this man has it easier too. He's got an air-operated impact wrench which makes loosening and tightening nuts quick and easy. But there are some safety tips you should know about when using air-operated tools. On impact wrenches, always be sure to use a socket designed for the impact tool. Ordinary sockets won't work because they aren't strong enough and won't connect properly to the tool. Always make sure that the socket is firmly retained on the wrench shank. Unretained sockets that go spinning off at high speeds are lethal weapons. As for air-operated grinders, the biggest hazard is wheel breakage. You can avoid breakage if you follow these simple rules. 1. Store wheels properly and handle them carefully. 2. Select the right wheel for the job. For example, never use a low-speed wheel on a high-speed grinder. 3rd, always use a wheel guard. 4. Inspect the wheels before you mount them. Check them for cracks. 5. Mount the wheel properly. And 6. Avoid running the grinder too fast. Wheels are designed to run at a certain speed. Make sure you don't exceed that speed. Now let's take a minute to point out some general safety rules for all tools. Watch out for those loose-fitting clothes. For example, loose sleeves on long-sleeve shirts. The sleeves could easily get bound up in some part of the tool. Always wear safety goggles when you're grinding, chipping, or scaling. Make sure all electrical tools are grounded. Unplug electrical tools whenever they're not being used. When you're through working in an area, clean it up. Practice good housekeeping. Put tools back where they belong. Keep all your tools clean and oiled. Always use the right tool for the job. Keep tool guards in place on all power tools. On grinder wheels, always check the wheels for cracks before and after you use them. Match the speed of the grinder with the speed for which the wheel was made. When you're drilling, be careful not to drill through the work and into yourself or somebody else. Drill the work, not the person. One more very important thing. Most electrical tools aren't spark-proof, so you always make sure you use them in a safe area. An electrical spark from starting up the tool will set off an explosion in an area where gas exists. Also, sparks from grinding and chipping will do the same. So take care. These operations could be as dangerous as welding. Okay, that's about it. We certainly haven't covered all the hand tools you're likely to use. And there are some things about using tools that you'll discover for yourself as you gain more and more experience. But we hope we've given you some good ideas that will help make your job easier and safer.